was a young mother, I really loved holding my babies. And since then, I've discovered a kind of a compelling body of evidence that this skin-to-skin contact is very important, not just to their happiness, but to nervous system development, their cognitive ability, their abilities as an adult are affected by how much touch they get as children. This is sometimes called kangaroo care, and it has been correlated with emotional resiliency. Other studies have shown that preemies who receive touch have better nervous system function than preemies who do not receive touch. Other studies show that kids that had less physical affection have more aggressive traits of character. So on many levels, characterological and cognitive, how much we're touched affects how well we develop. There was an orphanage in South America that had 97 infants. And over the course of a few years, 67 of the original 97, or I'm sorry, it was 76 of the original 97 died of, at that point, unknown causes. They finally realized that these orphans were not being held because the staff of the orphanage was too busy. So they would sit in their cribs day after day, untouched and unloved, and they would begin to fail physically. I think that the mechanism behind this transcends neurotransmitters and growth hormones and things like this. I think that on some very deep level, these babies that are not held come to the conclusion that they are not loved. And when they come to that conclusion, they see no purpose for their life, and they develop a kind of infantile depression. You know, people on both ends of the life spectrum are more frail physically, babies and elderly, and often when they become very lonely, that loneliness becomes lethal. We in the center of the life spectrum have more physical vitality, and so we aren't as apt to fail physically because of loneliness, but many of us are starving emotionally because we just don't feel connected to another person. You know, love is a powerful healing force. As I did research for my book on eating disorders, I met a young lady named Lacey. She developed a very severe case of anorexia, and as a result of that went down to 57 pounds. Well, in a desperate attempt to see if they could do something for her, Lacey and her mother drove back to her home of origin. It was a few hours away by car, and as they drove away, they began to pray that God would work a miracle, and He did. They got their miracle because suddenly Lacey felt hungry, and they pulled off to a roadside diner and had the first meal that she'd had in many years. And then when she met with her family and friends, she began to eat normally and began her road to recovery from this eating disorder because she remembered that she was loved. Love is a very powerful healing force in the world. We were born to be loved. Now you may feel that nobody loves you, but because I am a Christian and I believe the Bible, I can tell you of a certainty that even if you have somehow gotten yourself in a situation where you are not connected on an intimate level with any other human being, you are still deeply loved by God.